Good morning, 7:34 nearly. A rower from Bath taking part in an Atlantic rowing attempt has reached the halfway point with his four teammates. 25-year-old Jack Hopkins is suffering from aches, pains and sores in places never knew you could get them after 20 days at sea. They're trying to raise 60 grand for multiple sclerosis charities. And on the phone in the middle of the Atlantic right now is Jack. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning, Jonathan. Happy New Year to you too. How's everything on your end?
Well, to be fair, better here than probably there, bearing in mind the aches and pains that you never knew you had places that could have aches and pains.
For our bodies, it's absolutely relentless. You know, 1 second you're closing your eyes to have a 2 hour rouse to get back on the oars. Mainly it's the hand and the rear end that suffers the most.
I feel your pain. It's like where you are right now. What's the view like?
It's still dark. The sun is about to rise on the first day of 2019, but you get the most beautiful view of the night sky here. On some shifts, you can see up to half a dozen shooting stars. It's absolutely fantastic. It's something you simply don't get in England.
Now, having said that about your aches and pains, you were out with whales yesterday. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, we saw a pod of about 5 whales. We still haven't identified them, but as soon as we saw the spray a few meters from our boat, we dived in, and we got, I think, within about 10 meters. And no matter how tired you're feeling or how achy you are, that is the perfect cure to revive you. You know, it gives you an entire new burst of energy, and you're kind of left with each other. In astonishment, really. It is absolutely fantastic.
Now, I said you're in the middle of the Atlantic. I mean, that's a bit vague. I mean, we don't need exact coordinates. Where exactly are you, Jack?
If you take the Canary Islands, which are off of Western Africa, and take the Caribbean, we are directly in the middle of there. So I think about 500 nautical miles west of the Cape Verde Islands.
And so you've crossed the halfway points. Just tell us that feeling of knowing that you've crossed that barrier, and now, fingers crossed, you can start seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, albeit slowly.
I mean, the light started to creep in about Christmas time. At the moment, we're just basically counting down the weeks. Celebrating as best we can every time we hit that waypoint. Thankfully, the halfway mark corresponded very nicely to the New Year's Eve celebrations. So we shared a bag of M&Ms and a pot of Pringles between us in celebration, and then unfortunately got back on the oars. You don't really get that much for decompression and reflection.
What kind of boat have you got?
So it's an 8.5 meter carbon fiber and fiberglass rowing boat. Now we've got 2 cabins. I'm sitting in the stern cabin right now, which is the nerve center of the boat with all our electronics. It's a bit cramped. You can sit up and not turn around. And then we have the bow cabin, which we call affectionately the mezzanine lounge. It is a bit longer. It's about the size of a 2-man tent there. We have usually one person sleeping in each cabin at any given time. Every 2 hours, one person comes off the oars and replaces a person in the cabin. So we're constantly rotating to try and keep our strength up. And we have 3 rowing positions in between these 2 cabins, but it's rare that we'll get 3 people on the oars because it's a marathon and not a sprint.
I mean, amazing to think that you're rowing 3,000 miles. And what's the reason? I know it's for multiple sclerosis charities. Is it something close to your heart, this, Jack?
Yes, I mean, as a team, we are intimately connected to the multiple sclerosis community. And we've seen firsthand how someone can go from fighting fit to bedridden in only a couple of years. So we're basically rowing this for 2 reasons. The first of which is to raise money for a world free of MS. To that end, we've raised about almost £11,000 now. And on the other hand, we are acutely aware that while we might be fit today, we can't guarantee, that fitness going on. So while we have the strength and while we have the motivation, now is the time to do something like this. Now, going back to the point on MS, I mean, we're still looking for donations. So if any listeners are interested in our cause, they can go onto our Atlantic Discovery website to donate.
I mean, what is staggering as well is the fact that you're rowing 2 hours on, 2 hours off. I dare say there's a lot of elements to battle with, maybe a bit of seasickness as well. There's so much that you've had to sort of take on in such a short space of time.
You're completely right. The first week was absolutely hellish. I mean, I was the only person on the team to suffer really from seasickness, but my routine for the first 3 days was sleep 2 hours, row 1 hour, be sick, row another hour, repeat. Now, I did that for about 70 or 80 hours before my body started to adapt. But given how little time you have to rest, there's not really much you can do to train yourself. You just have to grin and bear it and just throw yourself in there and hope your body will adapt. And in almost all cases, it does. There's only been a few instances of people going to sea like this who have not recovered from seasickness within a few days. So that was the dice we had to roll. I remember, I think it was the end of the second day, just thinking to myself after all this work, after all this preparation, how terrible would it be if I had rescued at the 50-mile mark or something really embarrassing like that, because I was unable to keep any fluids down. But thankfully, we've all adapted, and it's now become just simply tough and not hellish like it was.
Well, what the hell are you eating?
Well, basically, a generally terrible concoction of dehydrated meals. We've got a few different brands to try and maximize the variety, but to give you an idea, it's a lot of dehydrated curries. We have a lot of stews, macaroni cheeses, basically everything without texture we've got with us. Now normally it's a bit difficult for us to boil water, so we tend to put cold water in there at the start of our shift, leave it to kind of settle. And 2 hours later, when we come off the shift, we kind of wolf it down as fast as possible and go to sleep. What we've kind of realized is there's about enough time to get the sleep you need and about enough time to get the calories you need, but unfortunately not both. So you have to really make a decision on the day. Unfortunately, as a result of that, I've prioritized sleep, and I'm down about 9 kilos so far.
Oh my goodness! Sounds like the kind of meal they would eat on the young ones back in the day. So how much more of the journey, I mean, in terms of days, have you worked out how long left?
I mean, it depends how optimistic we're feeling. I mean, if we get the trade winds, if we get the prevailing winds that sweep east to west, it's possible that we can get to Antigua in about 16 days or so. If the worst comes to the worst and we get no wind assist, it's just going to be a hard slog where we can only make about 50 miles a day. And in that instance, it might take us until almost the end of January to get there.
So, it's a stunning.
So pray for wind.
It's the right kind of wind. It's an amazing story and something that you will never forget. And certainly some of the views will be amazing. Also, you'll never forget the pains and the aches and everything else. But I'm grateful that you've given us a bit of your time from the middle of the Atlantic, and we're all thinking of you. And best wishes for the rest of the journey.
Well, thanks a lot for having me on, Jonathan. I really appreciate it. And, back on the oars now, unfortunately for me.
Oh, I know.
Have a great day.
Yeah, I don't want to delay you any. Have you got a dehydrated curry on the go?
I've got macaroni cheese waiting for me. Nice sound, actually. It's very textureless.
Yeah, no. I didn't say it sounded lovely. There you go. There's 25-year-old Jack Hopkins. What an amazing story. Rower from Bath, taking part in an Atlantic rowing attempt, reaching the halfway points with his 4 teammates, raising money for MS charities, looking to raise about 60 grand. Wow.